There's a lawnmower in a garage right now that stopped working 3 weeks ago. A new one costs $60 at the hardware store. He spent 4 Saturdays taking this one apart instead. His wife has mentioned the new one twice. He heard her both times. He is not buying it. Most people would call that stubbornness. It's not. This isn't about the lawnmower. It isn't even about the $60. Something older is running underneath it. Today we're breaking down 7 hidden patterns of men who'd rather restore than replace, and why the 7th one has almost nothing to do with what's sitting in the garage. Picture an old pickup behind a barn. Rust on the doors, flat tires, weeds up to the bumper. Most people drive past without a second look. You don't. Before you've even slowed the car down, you're already asking one question. Does the engine still turn? Walk 10 people past that same truck. 9 see rust. 1 sees potential. Same truck, different brain. Psychologists call this prospective cognition. Your brain isn't reacting to what's in front of you. It's reacting to what could replace it. Before a single tool touches the frame, the project is already finished in your head. That's why restoring rarely starts in the garage. It starts in your imagination. So ask yourself, when something breaks, does part of you go straight to replace it, or does another part quietly ask, can I save it? That answer is pattern 1. And it opens directly into pattern 2, because seeing potential and refusing to let something go are not the same instinct. Put an old tool on a workbench. Watch 2 men react to it. One picks it up, checks the handle, runs a thumb across the rust. The other doesn't look twice. To him, it's already finished. One sees an ending, the other sees a beginning. This is called cognitive reframing. Your brain isn't ignoring the damage, it's automatically scanning for what still works underneath it. And here's the part that doesn't stay in the garage. Men who do this with machines tend to do it with everything. Their work, their homes, the people they don't walk away from. Which raises the real question underneath all of this. Are they restoring old machines or practicing something they never named? Pattern 3. The problem solver. Think about the last thing that broke in your house. Before you searched for a replacement, did your brain do something automatic? What actually failed? Can I get the part? How hard would this really be? Some people never have that thought. Others can't turn it off. Solving the problem is its own reward, separate from finishing it. Every stripped bolt, every missing part is a small proof. You can handle difficult things. That lawnmower from the beginning was never about the $60. Every hour spent on it was reinforcing something worth more than the machine. Which raises a harder question. If he already knows he can fix it, why does he keep doing this over and over on things he doesn't need? That's pattern 4. Pattern 4. They don't finish projects, they return to them. Here's something most men won't say out loud. Sometimes he walks into the garage, doesn't touch a single tool, looks at the project for 30 seconds, and walks back inside. Nothing about the project changed, but he needed to see it. Most people think a garage is where things get built. For some men, it's where they think. That's why projects sit for weeks without a hand laid on them. It isn't loss of interest, it's incubation. The conscious mind steps back, but the background process doesn't stop. Then, one afternoon, tightening a completely unrelated bolt, the answer just arrives. It feels random. It isn't. If you've ever walked back into a garage already knowing the fix you couldn't find the day before, you know exactly what this is. But none of this explains something stranger. Why do some men keep things they'll probably never use? That's pattern 5. Pattern 5. Nothing is ever just scrap. Every garage has a corner that looks like clutter to everyone but the man who built it. A piece of angle iron, half a sheet of plywood, a drawer of bolts from machines that don't exist anymore. Ask him why he's keeping it. Might need it someday. Maybe he will. Maybe he won't. That was never the actual point. To anyone else, it's leftovers. To him, it's inventory for a future problem that already has a solution waiting. That's why he couldn't drive past the pickup behind the barn. He wasn't collecting junk. He was collecting options. What's the one thing in your garage everyone tells you to throw out, and you won't? You already know the answer. Quick pause before pattern 6, because it changes what this video is actually about. Most men who spend years building, restoring, and fixing things never once explain why they do it. Not to their wife, not to their kids, not to themselves. That's the exact gap the Builder's Guide was written to close. Not a repair manual, but a breakdown of the psychology underneath the habit, why the instinct exists, and what it's quietly protecting. If the first 5 patterns already felt familiar, it's linked below. And if you're the kind of man who likes understanding why people do what they do, not just what they do, subscribe. Every week we take apart another piece of human nature that almost nobody bothers to explain. Pattern 6. They don't give up easily. Here's what the men who spend months bringing a dead truck back to life tend to have in common. They don't walk away from hard things easily. Not projects, not promises, not people. Somewhere in them is the belief that almost everything deserves one more chance. That's sometimes their greatest strength. Sometimes it's the thing that costs them the most, because not everything can be restored. That's one of the hardest lessons a builder ever learns. Have you ever held on to something only because you believed it could still be saved? That instinct didn't start in the garage. The garage just gave it somewhere to live. Which brings us to the last pattern, and the real reason this was never about old machines. Pattern 7. What they're really restoring back to the lawnmower. 4 Saturdays, a $60 replacement sitting at the hardware store the entire time. Everyone around him thought he was fixing a machine. That was only the surface. Every bolt he tightened was reminding him that broken things don't have to stay broken. Every part that came back to life was proof that time spent rebuilding something is never wasted time. That's why some men restore trucks, tools, furniture, even houses. They're not chasing perfect. They're proving something to themselves. That patience still counts. That skill still counts. That effort still counts. In a world built to throw almost everything away, they quietly choose to bring something back instead. Maybe that's why he slows down for the truck behind the barn. Maybe that's why the drawer of bolts never gets thrown out. Maybe that's why 4 Saturdays didn't feel like a waste. It was never about the machine. It was about refusing to believe something loses its worth the moment it breaks. So here's the question to sit with. When you look at something worn out, what do you see first? What's broken, or what it could become? That answer might tell you more about yourself than any personality test. If you saw yourself somewhere in these 7, tell me which one in the comments. I read every one. Until next time. Keep looking a little closer. Human nature has a way of hiding in the ordinary.